In lesson 5, we were learning about similar triangles and indirect measurement, and I'm going to do the extra practice on page 557 for you. Okay, so on this one, they have a tree and I don't know what this is, but it's something white, and they're comparing the tree height and the white height and the shadow of each. So they've set up similar triangles here. And then they've set up a proportion. So 63 over 42, because these sides correspond, equals x over 60, because these sides also correspond. And then they've solved by multiplying the 63 and the 60 and dividing by the 42. And so they got that the height of the tree was 90 meters. Okay, similar process here. You're setting up a proportion for the sides that are corresponding. So if we look in the picture, the 300 corresponds with the x. So we can do 300 over x, and that's going to be equal to the other corresponding ones. So since we started with the big one on top in the first fraction, we would have to start with the big side over the little one here too. So 350 corresponds to 140. Okay, so here's our proportion. We have got 300 over x and 350 over 140. So we're going to multiply 300 and 140. 300 times 140 equals 42,000. And then we're dividing by 350. So after we divide, we should get 120. So that means that x is equal to 120 meters. Okay, and then let's take a look and make sure that this makes sense to us. 350 is bigger than 300, so 140 should be bigger than my x value, and it is. So 120 is smaller than 140, so I'm probably correct. On number 15, it says, about how long is the log that goes across the creeks? So we want to know what x is equal to. And if we notice, this side 9 goes from the 2 angle to the 3 angle. So since side 12 goes from the 2 angle to the 3 angle, this side and this side are corresponding. And then this side and this side are corresponding. So we can start with whatever we want. Let's start with 12. So 12 over the corresponding side 9 is equal to 8 over the corresponding side x. 12 over 9 is equal to 8 over x. And again, we're going to multiply here. So we have 8 times 9, which is 72, and then divide by 12. 72 divided by 12 gives us 6. So that means that the x is 6, and this log is 6 meters. Again, let's check to make sure that makes sense. 12 is bigger than 8, so 9 should be bigger than 6, and it is. Okay, so 6 is our answer on this one. How deep is the water? 62 meters from the shore. Okay, so we have this side over here, and this one is at 3 and 5. So they've done a tiny little similar triangle right here. You can see it just barely. And they said that this top side, which corresponds to 62, is equal to 3, and the 5 corresponds to D, so that's equal to 5 over here. So when we set up our proportion, we can go 3 over 62 is equal to 5 over D. And then when we multiply, we have 5 multiplied by 62, which gives us 310 divided by 3. So it says, how deep is the water from the shore? And it looks like it's going to be a decimal. It looks like after we divide by 3, we're going to get 103 103.3. So about 103.3 meters is how deep the water is. Again, 5 is bigger than 3, so D should be bigger than 62, and it is. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing here on this in this chapter. These word problems are talking about shadows cast by certain things. So it says a 72 centimeter tall child. So we have a child that is 72 centimeters. Casts a shadow that's 48 centimeters. And then at the same time, we have a building that is 16 meters shadow. Now, 16 meters, notice that this one is in meters and this one is in centimeters. So we have to change this meters to centimeters. And when we change it to centimeters, what we're doing is we're multiplying by 100. So if we have 16 times 100, this is 160 centimeters. Okay, so then we've got the building and the shadow is 160 centimeters. And we don't know how tall the building is. So our proportion could be 72 over x equals 48 over 160. And when we multiply 72 times 160 and then divide by 48, we would get 240. So our building, here's our proportion, and when we solve, our building is 240 centimeters. So we're in centimeters here. Okay, now if they want it to be in meters, this would also be 24 meters. Okay.